So, ladies and gentlemen, as you will know, Minister Hargey announced yesterday that she has temporarily stood down as Communities Minister and she was replaced today by Carol Nacullen. I would like to extend my best wishes to Deirdre as she undergoes surgery and would like to thank Carol for taking over the reins at Communities until Deirdre is ready to resume her duties. As we take more steps to move out of lockdown, it's vital that we remember that COVID-19 has not been beaten and will not be beaten for some time. In this climate of caution and vigilance, executive decisions must be proportionate and guided by the scientific and medical advice, with the prevalence of the virus kept under constant and careful review. While our health service has weathered the initial storm and we are in a much better place today, we should never forget that less than 10 weeks ago, in early April, we had 345 inpatients with COVID-19 and 57 patients in intensive care unit beds. Some countries have seen spikes in COVID cases since emerging from lockdown, so we cannot afford to be complacent. But it is because people have followed advice in recent weeks that the rate of infection, the R rate, has dropped to between 0.5 and 0.9, and that in turn has enabled Northern Ireland to be the first part of the United Kingdom to allow widespread reopening of retail. I'm also pleased to announce that in the light of the progress made, the Executive has today taken the decision to bring forward the indicative date for the reopening of tourist accommodation. The reopening of caravan parks, camping sites and self-catering tourist accommodation will now be brought forward to the 26th of June, with hotels and other tourist accommodation permitted to open from the 3rd of July. And while the spread of COVID-19 is being contained, it must be stressed that reopening will be conditional on this continuing to be the case. The Executive has also agreed today to the provisional reopening of restaurants and cafes on the 3rd of July. Pubs, bars and social clubs with outdoor spaces will also be permitted to sell alcohol outdoors by table service, and indoor pubs, bars and social clubs will be able to serve meals with alcohol. Hotel restaurants will also be permitted to reopen, and hotel bars will be restricted to serving meals with alcohol ancillary to this. As with pubs and bars, hotels with outdoor spaces will be permitted to sell alcohol in those spaces. We can also confirm today that the visitor attractions such as museums, historic houses, culture and heritage venues may also open from the 3rd of July with strict social distancing in place. But while the opening of tourism and hospitality is a significant milestone on the roadmap to recovery, I know that many of you will regard the ability to visit the homes of family and friends indoors as another. Last week, the Executive introduced the bubble concept to Northern Ireland, allowing someone from a single-person household to visit, stay over and spend time with one other household of their choosing. The Executive has agreed today to adopt a graduated approach to extending the bubble concept. The next step will be to bring 2 full households together, and we hope to announce a date for this over the next couple of weeks. We are, of course, mindful that not everyone can at this stage form bubbles, and that people who have been advised to shield, including single people with underlying health conditions, are excluded. We will let you know when it is safe to do so and continue to support you and urge everyone in your family and social circle to keep checking in on you while respecting the public health advice. As more activities open up, the Executive also recognises that childcare is essential to many people returning to work. We have already agreed to extend the definition of key worker for childcare to include the retail sector, and there will also be a gradual increase in the number of family child members are permitted to provide childcare for over the coming months. Today, we have agreed that childcare should also be made available to those working in the manufacturing and construction sectors who had not previously been covered by the definition of key worker. Officials from health and education are continuing to work alongside a sector reference group in the development of a recovery strategy for childcare. This will be based on parental need and include assessing where there are capacity gaps. A further paper will be prepared for our next Executive meeting on Thursday. Finally, I am pleased that the working group on the gradual reopening of places of worship has been established. Representatives are being contacted today, and the group will have its first meeting on Wednesday at midday. All of these strides forward have been made possible by all of you implementing the public health advice and taking responsibility to stop the spread of this insidious disease. We have come so far on the Executive's roadmap to recovery, but the journey is far from over, and we all have a role to play in ensuring that we can reach our destination safely. Stay safe, save lives. Work safe, save lives.